What's going back? What the fuck was that? Yeah, I'm tired. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another video, man. Before we do us anything else, all praise to the Most High. I'm tired, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. It's like 12 o'clock. And my mom, and you know that little, yeah, I've been doing that for like the last, I don't know how many minutes. So what we're gonna do is get to this video. If I start talking crazy, it's because I'm tired and I already ain't got no filter. But when I'm tired or under the influence of some hey man, what's past having no filter? It's like whatever fly out, this fly trap is just set on random. It's just anyway, it's just set on random and offensive. So yeah, y'all have fun. Today we got the luckiest people who survived the impossible. Let's get right into it.
The luckiest people who survived the impossible. Frane Salak. Frane was born in June of 1929 in Yugoslavia.
Damn, you old
He was
hell.
born unexpectedly 2 months early while his parents were on a boat in the Adriatic Sea. Fortunately, both him and his mother survived, and it's reported that his father even cut the umbilical cord with a fishing knife. When Frane was only 11 months old, he had life-threatening intestinal issues that nearly took his life. And at 11 years old, Frane nearly lost his eyesight completely, but reportedly recovered due to his mother's prayers to Saint Teresa and a nun's herbal medicine. Already, the childhood of Frane sounds like somebody who survived deadly and dangerous situations multiple times.
Right, I
But
feel
believe it or
bad
not,
for
the
Frane.
childhood of Frane Selek is actually some of the most peaceful times in his entire life. And the situations that made him now famous actually all took place after the age of 33 years old. From the age of 11 to 33, Frane lived a relatively normal life. He went to
Why
music
the hell-
school, became a music teacher, got
You
married.
you see how he look at 33? I told y'all, anybody over 30, you're old, you're all right, you're old bastard, you're old fart, you're OG, old guy. Get it
Got
together.
divorced, had a child, and got remarried, essentially living the standard Eastern European way of life. However, it was that way of life that was challenged on a train ride from Bosnia to Yugoslavia in January of 1962. According to Frane
Oh, damn.
himself, he was riding this train home from work, and he was on this train with the elderly mother of the mayor of Stone. Stone being a neighboring city to the one he was born in Croatia. According to
I thought that was
Frane,
the
the
Great Wall
elderly
of
mayor's
China.
mother was his responsibility to protect, and that he did. During the train ride on this cold, rainy day, the train is traveling along a canyon. And while the landscape of this canyon was beautiful, the conditions of this canyon were about to put him in a situation far from it. It's believed that only hours prior to this train voyage, a small mudslide near the top of the canyon caused a rockfall to land directly on the train track. And while this went unnoticed by the train conductor, when the train hit the rocks on the track, it successfully derailed the train, plunging the train into freezing cold waters. According to Frane, after the train hit the water, he told the old woman to hold on to him and hold her nose as he broke the train window with his elbow and successfully swam him and the old woman to shore, although Frane did sustain a broken arm and hypothermia. And while Frane and this elderly woman did survive, the 17 other passengers on the train unfortunately passed away in the accident. That situation alone is the story of a lifetime. Although for Frane, this is only the beginning of his multi-chapter story with his close encounters with death. Only a year later, after
Just
the
kill
alleged
me at that
heroic
point.
train situation, in 1963, Frane would find himself in another life-threatening situation. During this time, Frane is teaching music in Slovenia as part of his service in a military band for the Yugoslavians People Party. Although, during his time abroad, he receives a desperate call from his mother, and she informs Frane that she has been hospitalized and desperately needs him to come visit her, as this
Why
might
like
be
a
his last
zombie hand?
opportunity to say goodbye. Obviously, understanding the severity of his situation, Frane books the next flight from Slovenia back to Croatia. And only hours after receiving this desperate call, he is in the air. The aircraft he's on is known as a DC-10, and while it's a relatively large plane, this flight only has 17 passengers and 4 crew aboard. And at some point during the
cargo
short flight,
plane, ain't it?
Frane begins to strike up a conversation with the flight attendant near an emergency exit to try to calm his nerves. This was his first flight ever, and it coincidentally ended up being his last as well. Frane has told reporters that during his conversation with the flight attendant, he heard a massive bang on the plane, and then almost immediately after, the exit door was ripped off of the plane behind him, causing the change in pressure to suck him out of the airplane. It is then alleged that he fell 800 meters before harshly landing in a haystack in a small farm village in Croatia. According to Frayne, he spent 4 days in a coma and then woke up in the hospital, where he learned that he had no serious injuries besides the loss of consciousness and, well, coma. During interviews decades after the incident took place, Frayne also reported that the loud bang heard on the plane was likely the tail of the plane striking a mountain, causing a fire in the plane and causing everybody on the plane besides him and the stewardess he was talking to pass away. Although that's something we'll discuss more later. But in case a train crash or a plane crash weren't...
What the hell going? Is the devil out to you, or is God protecting you, or both? Like, what the, how you even, what? What the, hey, bro, look, man, that's a stressful life to live, dog. I'm getting stressed out just listening to it. Like, what, bro? First of all, I'm suing everybody. I don't give a damn. And the people on the plane gone. But you work for somebody. You're through. And your family through. I don't give a damn. You should. What? In the plane, the back of the plane hit a mountain. How the hell you flying to a mountain? You stupid. What's wrong with you? Did you not practice this before? Like, what? Didn't we learn not to fly close to mountains? Never mind.
Enough? Don't worry, because there's more. In 1966, Frayne was riding a bus from Yugoslavia to Croatia when the bus skidded off the road into the river, once again drowning passengers and leaving Frayne injured, although alive. Okay, I quickly wanted to talk about something that might seem off topic, but it's really not. That being the safety of your files, which is why this video is sponsored.
Shut your ass. Don't give a damn. Don't do
every single time during this.
Anyway, bro, you barely made it as a child. You also barely made it. You barely made it as a baby. Then you also barely made it as a child. Then you almost got unalived by a train. Then you almost got unalived by a plane. Then you almost got unalived by a bus. Then you probably almost gonna get unalived by your house. I'm gonna just finish the job, bro. Like, I'm tired of going through this, bro. This is a stressful life to live. Like, you can't do nothing without thinking that you finna get unalive somewhere. Like, what the fuck are we even doing right now?
Was involved in 3 separate car accidents where he defied death every single time. The first car accident alleged by Frayne involves his car catching fire as he was driving it, nearly killing him in the process.
What?
And then a year later, he had another incident with his car catching fire, although this time the fire wasn't in the engine bay, the fire was being blown directly at him through the air vents, singeing his hair, although he was able to get out of the car in time before it exploded.
The devil on your ass.
After that, Frayne alleges that he was driving on a canyon road when a United Nations military truck improperly took a curve on this steep mountain road, causing Frayne to swerve into a guardrail, causing his car to fly off of a cliff. However, because Frayne was not wearing a seatbelt, he was able to jump out of his car and land in a tree before his car made a 300-foot plummet to the bottom of the canyon and exploded. Now, after surviving all of these death-defying situations, it would be reasonable to say that this guy has likely won the lottery multiple times over. Although in 2002,
No, he didn't. He didn't. He just survived. The lottery is getting rich. I don't know what the hell you talking about. Because that ain't a life to live. I don't know what type of lottery you thinking of. I guess he wanted to stay alive. He jumped out the car. Shit. Man, at this point, I ain't interested in this shit no more. What's after this? Because this ain't for me.
Also become reality. Because during that year, Frayne bought a lottery ticket and ended up winning over $1 million.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
It was after this lottery winning when the story of Frayne Selleck kind of became publicly known. Because after this lottery winning, he began doing public interviews, and the stories that he was telling was simply too much to deny. And he began to do more and more interviews, and these stories began to go viral. So viral, in fact, that in 2004, Frayne even starred in a Doritos commercial. And it's even alleged that during the drive home from the Doritos commercial, he hit a deer in his car, which is unfortunate and also dangerous. Now, if you've been paying extra attention, you would have noticed that I've been putting extra emphasis on the fact that all of these stories are either alleged or reported by Frayne and not, well, proven. Almost all of the death-defying stories we know about Frayne became widely known decades after they happened. And
Cap.
out of all of these now famous stories, none of them have been independently verified. And there has also
Cap.
been contradictions found within different tellings of these stories
You just
by
wasting
Frayne,
my time,
meaning that
twin.
there may be a bit of fiction mixed in with the facts.
You just wasting
Although
my time,
I did want to
twin.
tell the story because of how insane it is and how
No.
well popular it's kind of became. Regardless if you
you just
believe
wasting
Frayne
my
or not,
time.
or you believe he was punching up his stories or making up
I
complete
should-
fairy tales, the reality is Frayne
I should take that head off the top of your round ass head and smack you with that. You wasting my time, twin.
is famously known as one of the most lucky, unlucky men to ever live.
He
And whether or
lied,
not his
yeah.
stories actually happened or even kind of happened, we
They
may
didn't.
never know. Frayne
Yeah.
passed away at the age of 87 in
that
2016.
ass.
And today, we are still telling the stories that he told. Fact
Yeah.
or fiction, Frayne, the humble music teacher from Croatia, turned himself from man to legend.
Yeah.
Ron Hunt. In
All I gotta
August
do is lie?
2003. And Ron Hunt is
That
a
what you telling me?
41-year-old construction worker working in California. He is your average run-of-the-mill blue-collar man. He likes truck, beer, boob, and he certainly doesn't mind getting an eyeful of either of those things. However, on this fateful day, Ron was about to get an eyeful of something he did not bargain for. This day on the job site started like any other, briefing with the other contractors and then getting right to work. Shortly after starting his shift, Ron was tasked drilling a hole in cement roughly 5 to 10 feet off of the ground. This task was nothing new to Ron, and he grabbed the appropriate tools. He grabbed an impact drill with an 18-inch chip auger drill bit and a 6-foot ladder. Approaching the wall on the job site that required the hole, Ron carefully set up the ladder, ensured that it was sturdy, and then began to climb the ladder and then, of course, drill. However, almost instantly after beginning to drill this hole, Ron could tell that something was not right.
I know
The
that wall
18-inch
ain't
drill
gonna
bit
fall
was
on
struggling to make any progress into the concrete, and while Ron was trying to use leverage to force it into the guide hole, he noticed that the ladder was not as sturdy as he once thought. Although, almost immediately after noticing that the ladder was not extremely stable, his footing gave way from right below him, and he lost his balance and fell forward. This situation is terrifying. However, for Ron, this is something that he was trained for. And as a construction worker with decades of experience, he knew that when you're working at heights, if you are falling, you should throw your tool as far away as you can. And that he did. Although, unfortunately, Ron did not throw the drill far enough. And instead of having the drill land feet away from him, the drill landed drill side up on the ground directly below Ron. And Ron fell directly onto the drill, having the drill bit penetrate through his right eye through the back of his skull. An injury that undoubtedly would kill 99.9% of people that it would happen to. Although for Ron, this extremely unlucky situation,
Is that a real photo? Damn.
99.9% of people that it would happen to. Although for Ron, this extremely unlucky situation would actually turn out to be the luckiest situation of his life. Immediately following the fall, Ron's coworkers ran to his side. And while the scene was absolutely gruesome, they remained calm and called for help immediately. While waiting for help, Ron was not only shockingly alive, but conscious, and was able to feel around his head to try to understand how severe the injury was. And when he felt the entry point of the drill on his eye and the exit point on the back of his head, he knew he was in serious trouble. Although he didn't let that situation get
Shoot me in the head, twin. I ain't even. Nope. Hey, my firearm is in the vehicle. Can you please go get it? Matter of fact, I ain't gonna say that. I know where it usually be. My bag is in the car. Can you please go get my bag? As soon as I see my bag drop in front of me, yep, let me go on ahead and finish this job because obviously, yeah, I'm not supposed to be here. I ain't doing
better
it.
of him. Due
I'm
to
sorry.
Ron's coworkers' quick response, the paramedics arrived
What?
only minutes after the accident.
Bro, would y'all want to live through something like I wouldn't want to, bro. I'm sorry, bro. I love life, but bro, I'm scared of certain things. Like, I'm scared of certain injuries and certain things happening, bro. God, please don't ever let me go through that. But nah, bro, look, like, hell no, man. I'm straight.
Happened. And after examining Ron, a helicopter arrived to airlift him to a medical center in Reno, Nevada. Interestingly, it has been reported, not by Ron, but by actual doctors and nurses, that during his time in the hospital while he was being examined by professionals, Ron was not only conscious and talking, but also lighthearted and cracking jokes. Meaning that even in his most dire times, he was able to keep a
That shit
light
all
heart,
hurt.
which to me is just
I know that
so
hurt.
cool and honestly respectable. However, even
yeah,
though
it's
Ron
very
was able to
respectable,
laugh
'cause I
and
know
joke,
that
the
hurt.
situation was still extremely life-threatening and difficult, considering that in most instances, this injury would be instant death. Therefore, this has not been an injury that has been
How you
often
even getting
treated,
that out?
meaning that the medical professionals not only had to think fast, but leave no room for error. Because while Ron was alive now, there was so many opportunities for them to accidentally kill him
Where the
while trying
morphine?
to remove the drill
Where
bit.
the
While the
morphine?
doctors and nurses were examining Ron, they were able to discover why this injury didn't kill him. And that's because
Why?
the path that this drill bit took through Ron's skull was almost the perfect trajectory to not puncture the brain whatsoever. Looking at an x-ray, they were able to see that the drill bit literally pushed the brain out of the way rather than penetrating through it, which is why Ron not only survived, but also had no neurological issues. He wasn't paralyzed, he wasn't lacking motor skills
And
or
now
speech
you lost
function.
your
He was
eye.
all there, just with a giant metal spike in his head. Interestingly, one of the first treatments that Ron received was a tetanus shot and an IV full of antibiotics. And this is because there was a massive non-sterile foreign object that not only caused, but also resided within multiple lacerations to the head, holes in the skull, and was also currently in contact with the brain raw. And because of this, there was an overwhelming opportunity for infection to take place either in the skull, the brain, or either of the skin lacerations.
I ain't got time
Meaning
for
that
it.
even if they were able
If
to
it's just my
successfully
day,
remove
just say
this
that.
drill, there was still a significant chance of infection taking Ron's life. After receiving this first dose of antibiotics, he was sent to the operating room, where the removal procedure began. And while it may seem like one of the most counterintuitive and dangerous methods, the way that the doctors decided to remove the drill bit was by using the same way that it got in. That's right. In the operating room, they put Ron on a ladder and made him fall on the ground so that the floor would push the drill bit out. That's a lie. I'm totally joking. What they
Boy,
actually did
hey.
in the operating room
Hey.
was slowly and carefully screw the drill bit in reverse so that it would easily make its way out. And the
That's
reason they
not
were able to
good
do this
either.
was because there was no brain tissue entrapped in the drill. Because it wasn't penetrated, it was simply pushed to the side. And once the drill was fully removed from the skull, the doctors were then able to begin a massive cleanup job, making sure that this huge wound was not and did not get infected. They removed dirt, debris, bone fragments, and dead tissue, which unfortunately included his right eye. Although after the surgery and a follow-up surgery to fix some of the fractures in his skull, Ron spent a few weeks in hospital being monitored to ensure that no infections would grow, and once doctors were satisfied that his condition was stable, he was released to go home and went on to live a normal life, and actually became known as the Miracle Man because of how lucky and unlucky this man was. After everything was said and done, the only lasting impacts that Ron had due to this event were the fact that he was blind in the right eye because he didn't have a right eye, and nerve damage to one of the nerves on the right side of his face, meaning that the right side of his face was essentially paralyzed. But beyond those two effects specifically, Ron made a full recovery, and still to this day lives a normal life. And while it definitely feels a bit odd to call somebody lucky for losing an eye and having facial nerve damage, when you understand the context of the situation, it's easy to see how lucky and unlucky Ron truly was. Unlucky, obviously, because of the accident that took place, but lucky because he literally survived the impossible, and potentially the world's most severe lobotomy we've ever seen. Roger.
That's your opinion. My opinion is don't save nothing. Don't save nothing. Finish the job. I don't know why the job wasn't finished. Job's not finished. I don't know why the job wasn't finished on when the situation happened, but somebody better finish the job and fast. Put me out of my misery. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. It's certain things. I mean, certain people care about certain things. That's just one of the things I care about. I don't want to deal with nothing like that. Lose a limb. The vital organ, none of that, bro. Like, hell nah. At that point, bro, I'm shit. No sir, no sir.
Woodward. It was a warm July day in 1960, and a New York father decided it was the perfect day to take his two children on a boat ride. The location that this father decided to take his children on the boat ride was an area of water in New York known as the Upper Niagara River, the river that leads directly to Niagara Falls, the iconic waterfall on the border of the United States and Canada. This was a boat ride that this man had done numerous times before, although on this boat ride, things would not go so smoothly. As reported by Roger Woodward himself, decades after the event took place, his recollection of events are as follows. Roger, the son, his sister, and his father were all enjoying the relatively standard boat ride when Roger asked his father if he could steer the boat for a little while. His father agreed and allowed him to sit on his lap on the seat, although almost instantly after joining his father at the wheel, the waters began to get dangerously rough and the boat began to develop motor trouble, leaving the boat essentially stranded in dangerous water. Realizing that the situation was dire, Roger's father removed Roger from his lap and tried to take control of the boat, although his efforts were unsuccessful, and the boat actually ended up capsizing in the river due to the severity of the waters they were in. When the boat capsized, all 3 of the family members were tossed into the water, and each one of them had a different experience. Roger's sister, who was 17 at the time, was shockingly saved and pulled out of the water only 6 meters of the edge of the falls. Although for her brother, Roger, and her dad, they were not so lucky to be saved. And both Roger Woodward and his father went over the Canadian Horseshoe Falls. Now, if you know anything about Niagara Falls, there has been numerous people who have gone over the falls, many of which who have not survived. It's actually been estimated that since 1850, there have been at least 5,000 people who have gone over the falls. And it's also estimated that there are 20 to 30 deaths that occur annually at Niagara Falls, although mostly due to personal intention, if you understand what I'm saying. Now, out of those thousands of people that have gone over the falls, it is reported that only 16 to 20 have been confirmed to survive the extremely deadly and dangerous Niagara Falls. Now, I mentioned this to give context about exactly how deadly and rare it is to even survive. Just doing some quick math based on the estimates, that's literally a 0.05% chance of surviving. Back to the story, however. Unfortunately, both Roger and his father were swept up in the rapids and sent down Niagara Falls. Roger's father, unfortunately and unsurprisingly, perished in the falls. But somehow, miraculously, Roger Woodward survived being sent down Niagara Falls at the age of only 7 years old. After being sent down the waterfall, surviving the immense pressure of the water, nearly missing all of the jagged and deadly rocks at the bottom of the falls, and not drowning, Roger was actually spotted by tourists on the Maid of the Mist boat. It's a little boat that goes to the bottom of Niagara Falls, and the crew quickly made a beeline over to the boy as they saw his bright orange life jacket, likely the item that saved this boy's life. After the captain put the boat directly beside Roger, his crew threw a life preserver, and they were able to successfully bring him on board merely minutes after spotting him. Roger was immediately sent to the Niagara General Hospital, where he stayed for only 3 days with a minor concussion and bruises. There has been numerous daredevils who have tried to make safe and insulated barrels to go over the falls in, and over half of them have died. Although this 7-year-old boy who was simply trying to have a good time with his family went over the falls, survived, and lived to tell the tale. And he has since this event visited Niagara Falls often into his adulthood. Roger was undoubtedly extremely lucky in this extremely unlucky situation, and he has gone on record saying that he is extremely grateful to be alive. Speaking of lucky situations, I would say it's pretty lucky that you found this channel. Realistically, there are millions of YouTube channels, and you could be watching anything right now. So the fact that you found my channel, to me, is super lucky, and I hope that you're enjoying this video. Now, I've never really made a video on this topic before, so I just wanted to say if you guys would love to see a part 2 about people that survived the impossible, the luckiest, unlucky people, leave a like or leave a comment below saying part 2 so that I know you guys want more of this topic. If you're new here and haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so, because we make cool videos every single Friday. But with that being said, let's get to the final entry of this list. Bill Morgan. The year is 1998, and Bill Morgan is a 37-year-old truck driver living in a camper van. Not a lot is known publicly about the early life of Bill Morgan, but knowing that he was born and raised in Australia, we can assume that he grew up playing with spiders and fighting kangaroos. Regardless, from his birth to the age of 37, it's believed that Bill lived the life of the average Australian man, doing honest work and traveling the country he loved in his camper van. A simple and respectable life. Although everything was about to change on one fateful day. During what appeared to be a relatively normal drive in his camper van, Bill was struck and nearly killed in a car crash that seemingly happened in the blink of an eye. Fortunately, Bill was able to survive this car accident, although not by much. And while he was recovering in the hospital, it was discovered that due to this car accident, he actually developed a heart condition. Now, while most of us would consider a heart condition a better trade-off than death in this situation, this heart condition was still not ideal. And what doctors recommended to Bill was that he take a certain medication to help relieve his symptoms and protect his heart. Although when Bill started taking this medication, he suffered a severe allergic reaction that once again nearly killed him by ironically triggering a heart attack. After experiencing this cardiac event due to this medication, Bill was declared clinically dead for 14 and a half minutes. Although he was miraculously revived by paramedics and was then sent to the hospital where he spent 12 days in a coma. And during this time, things were not looking good. And doctors were actually advocating to Bill's family that they should potentially consider end-of-life planning and, well, pulling the plug. And while that sounds absolutely unfair and devastating and cruel, the reality is it wasn't necessarily bad advice from a professional perspective. And that's because previously, as we know, Bill was clinically dead for 14 and a half minutes, which statistically speaking means that even if he were to recover from the coma, he would be in a severe, likely vegetative state due to the cognitive decline his brain would have experienced without having oxygen for such an amount of time. For context, brain damage begins to occur at only 4 minutes without oxygen. So the fact that he was dead for over 14 minutes paints a pretty severe picture. However, because Bill had already been so lucky up until this point, and his family was so determined and dedicated, they decided to do no such thing. Unfortunately, after 12 days of being in a coma, he not only woke up, but woke up and made a full recovery, having all of his mental faculties and being able to walk and talk. Something that has to be a statistic anomaly. But we're not done yet. So far, Bill has beaten death in the form of a car accident, in the form of an allergic reaction, in the form of being literally clinically dead, and in the form of a coma. Although, even though every one of those instances is an expression of bad luck, it's also an expression of good luck because he, well, survived them seemingly unscathed. Although, unbelievably, he didn't use up all of his luck on all of these near-death experiences. And that's because in the year following the car crash and coma, Bill not only bought a lottery scratcher ticket, something he did weekly, but he also won. And he didn't win $5 or $10, he won a Toyota Corolla that was worth anywhere from 17 to 30,000 Australian dollars. And this is where the story gets really quite interesting, because similar to Frayn's story at the beginning of this video, after this lottery winning, Bill's story became publicly televised, and it was spreading rapidly and so interesting because of how much misfortune he experienced, only to then go on and not only survive, but win the lottery. And because his story was so interesting, the news wanted to do a segment about Bill. While filming the segment, the news anchor asked Bill if he minded buying a lottery ticket so they could reenact the scene where he won the car. And since scratching lottery tickets was a pastime of Bill's, he had no issue doing such. Although, to the surprise of everybody, when Bill went ahead and bought and scratched off the lottery ticket simply to just get some B-roll for the news, he was shocked at what he had found. While the cameras were rolling and Bill was silently scratching off a ticket, Bill suddenly froze and the energy in the room paused. Bill turned around, looked directly at the camera, and quietly said, "I just won $250,000.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. I just won $250,000.
Yeah.
And then immediately after realizing what he had just said and won, he put his hands over his head and said, "Please don't film me. I don't believe this is happening. I think I will have another heart attack." Bill was obviously shocked about what had just happened, likely more shocked than us. And once the reality set in a bit more and he knew he wasn't having a heart attack, he quickly called his fiancée, told her that they could buy a new house, and she even later went on to tell the news, quote, "I hope he hadn't used up all of his good luck." And one of my favorite parts about the story is that this is verifiable, and the footage of this happening is literally on YouTube right now. I'm going to play a short clip of it, but it is just so wholesome to see this man's genuine reaction to finally catching a break after nearly losing his life multiple times, realistically due to no fault of his own. I don't know about you, but I find that video so wholesome, and I just love when genuine, real people get what they deserve. In a good way. In my opinion, Bill is a legend. And while all of this happened back in 1998 and 1999, as of 2020, Bill still lives in Melbourne with his wife. And while he does still suffer with heart issues and arthritis because of the car accident, he is grateful for his life, even stating, quote, "I've had a bonus of 22 years. Oh wait, I guess I should maybe say this Australian. I've had okay, that's not Australian. I've had okay, let me try it one more time. Like, I'm trying my hardest. Yeah, I've had a bonus of 22 years. Okay, I'm gonna try it, but okay, let's just try it. I've had a bonus of 22 years, and that's the, I've had a bonus of 22 years, and that's the best way to live your life. Every day I get up and put on my shoes, and even if I'm not real well, I still shuffle down the road and smell the roses. Look at the sun and think about how lucky I am." That was potentially the worst accent you've ever heard.
Yes,
but
it
it's
was.
also
I'm glad
a
you
true
know.
expression of gratitude, which for me makes Bill that much more of a legend. And it's even reported that to this very day, Bill is still buying lottery tickets every single week.
I would too.
And who knows? Maybe soon there'll be an update to this video where Bill won the lottery once again. But even if he never does, I would say he is very much so a lucky man who beat some pretty unlucky situations. Ladies and gentlemen, this video has been an insane journey of discovering some of the craziest experiences people have not only gone through, but survived. And if you loved this video, I would love to make a part 2 for you. So, like I said earlier, leave a like or leave a comment if you want more videos like this. And speaking of more videos, check out the video on screen.
Yes, sir, man. Everybody that survived, I'm glad that y'all good. I'm glad that y'all living y'all lives. I'm glad that y'all are happy that y'all survived some of these situations. That was me, shit. I'm glad it was you, because if it was me, shit, I'm good. I ain't gonna hold you. But nah, especially the last one, Bill. Hey, bro, I'm happy for you, bro. Won a lottery, what, twice? Good, good. Happy for you, bro. I wish everybody in this video long life, on happy life, on safe happy life. But that's gonna do it for this video, dog. Eat fruit, stay out of the way. The first one, you can't stay out of the way of nothing. Plane crash, car crash, train crash, boat crash, house crash, crash. Like, I don't know. All right, bro. Uh, no, it ain't freeze. I'm still here. I don't know what the hell going on. But anyway, I'll catch y'all in the next one.